Right, okay, on the Fnatic side, I hinted at it earlier. To me, as much as in the last years, I've had all these great talks on all my shows where we all got together and got to be like Fnatic haters for a while, but legitimately though, not just for no reason, which was, as an org, they looked like they'd sort of painted themselves into a corner, especially for me once Reckless left. Once Reckless left, realistically, the only players in that lineup that were like, and I'll say the only player, for me, the only player left who was like the must-have was Hylissang. Upset, obviously, Shorty was once he played at Fnatic, but remember, before that, he could never get the bloody offer from the top team. He was always just being forced into the sort of like playoff teams that aren't going to win. So to me, if Hylissang had also left, that would have been it at the end of this year. Like that would be the end of Fnatic. Instead, they reverse direction, and somehow they not only keep the best bot lane, but actually they look like they've just constructed, like, bearing in mind Wonder's slightly a gamble, sure, because of last year. The rest of the team, this looks fantastic. Like they've had, this is probably one of the best off seasons ever for Fnatic.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think that Wunder probably needed a change of environment that some players require. He seems very, very good at the moment. I don't know how driven he is, but for Wunder, it has never been the talent player. People who say that, like, I mean, I always question, for good players, I always question motivation over raw skill, because if you were at your peak and you were extremely good, then you can probably climb back at it. It depends on how committed you are to grind the ladder and work on yourself. As I said, Razork for me was one of the MVPs. I think Humano is one of the smartest, if not the smartest player in the league. So, and whoever you would put with Hylissang is going to play well. Like they went to playoff with Samux. So it's like Hylissang is a timeless gem. And like he doesn't age. He's just randomly making stupid mistakes, but overall he can beat Chinese supports at their own game. So it's a very, very well-rounded team. You want to play through any lane you can. You want to put anyone on the weak side, they can. They want to play scaling, they can. They want to play early game, they can. Like they have the comp that's, for me, defines like international level team. Because no matter how the game state is, they have tools to actually play with that game state, yes. Which is not something I would say about Vitality, for instance, because I think they are the only, Vitality and G2 are the only teams that you want to really compare Fnatic to at the moment. Even Mad Lion seems to be a little bit worse in terms of just player to player, because they obviously went with two rookies. But yeah, Fnatic is so well rounded. It seems very hard to beat.
Yeah, especially, I have to say, the jungle mid support. Like, if they can all get on the same page, this could be actually, as you were allowed to, this could be a special team internationally. This could actually do something. I know everyone's sad because we've never really gotten like the G2 of yesteryear and obviously the teams last year. I mean, Mad Lions had the chances, but, you know, they never fully unlocked that level against the Koreans, for example. I think this team, the Wonder experiment's like a gamble, sure. The rest of them all look solid. It's just, can we get the same players to gel? Like I say, if you can have a support, essentially they genuinely could have the best support jungle and mid in all of Europe, all the West. It's very rare you're ever going to get that in one team.
Yeah, it's very rare. I mean, since G2 when they had caps, perks, like the top side was Yanko's caps, perks, and Mickey X, which is very easy because perks is gonna play by himself so well, right? He is very good at doing these things and play on side. So yeah, I mean, it's a very, very good off season. Props to Fnatic management, as well as like even I would say the investor and the banker and the sponsors. You know, they put it's like people never give props to teams that spend the money. But I'll give props to teams that spend the money wisely. You know, it's like when Liquid hired Core JJ, it's like, whatever the price is, man, just go for it. I was like, yes. Why would you doubt about it? It's like, this player is making you win. When Cloud9 went for perks, like, what would you doubt about it? I was like, he's making teams win pretty much every single time. And he's the only reason. I'm not counting that Vitality is, you know, it's like it's terrible start, yes, but they're probably going to bounce back because they have perks. So Fnatic went and spent not even the most insane amount of money, because I don't think they went for the biggest names. They went for the player they needed to actually achieve a great and a well-rounded team. So I think it's really, really, really clear that it's great. And I think that they chose their side as well. They went for the upset side, you know, in this whole conflict thing between, they went on the humanoid Razor Wunder, which is not of the top side of the map, just gone. And it seems to work perfectly.
One thing I will say is, even though they are 4-0 and on paper in the off-season, everyone thinks what a great job, they have played, looking at the recent results, in theory, some of the worst teams in the league. The only really potentially top one was obviously the aforementioned Vitality, which is when Vitality was in the slump mode and it began the first week and it didn't look great. My question would be this: do you anticipate, if there was going to be cracks or issues for Fnatic, where would you anticipate they'd be?
I think that for in the direct match today, I think that Wunder can always have a bad game. And I still think that, so I personally work with VTO on everything like micro and individual like preparation and stuff. I think VTO is probably like peaking right now. I don't think there is that many players in LEC that actually lane as well as he does. And if he pulls, he had a terrible DSU game for his first game, but aside from that, he played very, very well. So I'd say that they can probably play through their natural strength, which is here in VTO. And if they try to go through the crack, then it might be a playable game for them. Like I'm rooting for Misfits obviously because I'm working with their mid laner. I'd say Fnatic is the favorite, but don't count a nice, a strong solo laner being ahead in a game, because as you said, it's League of Legends. Everything can happen.
Yeah, one thing I would say is this we can tie it into the aforementioned discussion about Mercer, the support player of Misfits, because this is his welcome to the LEC moment when you're playing against fucking Hylissang. And listen, you might have I'm sure you played him in solo queue, you probably played some scrims, you've watched him on stream, you think you're prepared for the maniac dives and the attacks and the pushes and the random fog of war. You aren't until you've actually faced that in a proper game.
Nobody isn't.
Yeah,
nobody isn't. And
welcome to
since 2015. It's been what? It's been 7 years. Nobody's ready. Like you're Ming, you're Meiko. You've won like worlds whatsoever. You play against Hylissang. You're like, it doesn't look. Remember how like every single ADC that played with Hylissang, how well they looked. Like look at Reckless at Worlds before he left Fnatic. We were considering that it was the best dual lane of World Championship in 2020, and then he left, and we're like, oh, G2 improved. No, because it wasn't about the Reckless. It has been about Hylissang, and Upset was considered a very overrated ADC, and then he played with Hylissang, and he's popped off. Hylissang is just fantastic. He's a fantastic player, one of the all-time greatest, like Hall of Famer ADC player, a Western player.
And the key thing for me is this is actually maybe a lesson for some of the people who are picking up all the rookies. One thing about Hylissang is you cannot teach that type of like vision and intuition for playmaking. If you take a guy who's mechanically equally as good, has everything else, same teammates, you just can't, it can't be prompted. If anything, that's why the genius for me with Hylissang is you actually go the other way. If anything, you just want to every now and then rein it a little bit in. It's not, you're not encouraging to go out. You're going every now and then, just once or twice, don't in. But you'll take the ints because again, as we say, like the guy's something of a genius for finding engagements, isn't he?
It's the props of genius. It's very uncontrollable, yet it's so effective. And as you say, I think that you can compare him directly to Labrov, who's a mechanical monster, one of the best supports in the whole ladder. And like, he's so good at playing the lane, but I was like, he's never going to be in between two bushes, just dodging the vision, just flashing a Rakan and winning you a whole game that should never be won. Because that's the prop of like very few players. This is just understanding the game, not through your own position, but kind of as a whole sequence of like strengths and weaknesses, and just applying pressure on like one weaknesses and just breaking the game open is something very few players can do.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or be a pleb and don't.